Yeah, so next we're going to talk about Ryan Trahan and he calls it, I think he came up with this name, but the Redemptive Framework.
Yeah.
And so this was a couple years ago, and he's like 26 right now. Mm-hmm. So this was like when he was in his early 20s, had already started getting some success on YouTube, making more money than ever before. And he shared this on a YouTube channel where he kind of was breaking down, his young YouTube career. But as he's making more money than ever before, he realized, I'm feeling just ick about it. Like, I'm doing stuff just to get clicks and likes. And he realized, and this at the same time, he's young married and his wife was Christian. And he's also becoming a believer and follower of Jesus. Yeah. And so you can kind of see the parallels of baby Christian and going, man, I need to be using this gift of this YouTube platform I have for more important stuff. And so I'm just going to break down kind of, he calls one's exploitative work, mm-hmm. and the other is redemptive work. And so the description for exploitative work is content created primarily to get clicks, views, and money. Speaking of money, retention hacking. The focus is on the creator's gain and manipulating the audience. And what he's trying to do is do redemptive work. And he has a whole framework that he and his team go by. But it's content created to bring restoration to the viewer. The goal is to inspire, connect, and have a positive impact, with profit and numbers being secondary to the viewer's experience. Yeah. And I think, this is actually, we didn't plan it this way, but a perfect topic to follow up with. Mm-hmm. We just talked about money, and Ryan Trahan, is making more money than all of us combined in this room. He's one of the biggest YouTubers. But then he's also he just got done this past summer doing his 50 states in 50 days thing and raised was it 20 million, 15 million?
A lot of money.
A lot of money for St. Jude's, and that's the public, what's he doing? Him and his wife privately giving to their local church if they have one, or to different ministries. And so, but yeah, I just love that filter of redemptive work. And that's, one of the core things that we are trying to do here at GodMade is inspire more content creators. We want to use the tactics and the practical things to grow our podcast, our YouTube channels, but not at the expense of the audience. We're trying to bring people up, and increase their faith and just add more good to the world.
Yeah, so. Good and giving.
Yeah.
It seems like it kind of reminds me of, we've talked about this before, but the Go Giver book is one of my favorites because it's all about how can I give? How can I think of the other person? And the more you do that, the more you give value sincerely, not to get something back, but to actually add to the world and bring more good to the world. People are, whether you're doing it because you're a believer or not, the principle still works. Mm-hmm. It's still a solid biblical principle. Because it's all about giving. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I 100% agree. I think the starting point where you make your content, I think, is incredibly important. Mm-hmm. And so if you are, because I run into this all the time with my friends too, especially people that want to be content creators, especially people that only want to be content creators after they see how I've been successful or people around me have been successful. I have had conversations before with people that are like, yeah, I want to do this because I want to be famous, or I want to do this because I want money, right? Mm-hmm. And they're honest with themselves about that, which is great that you're honest. Yeah. But if you're going to start this in order just to make money, then it's never going to work, right? Very seldomly will it work. And if it does, it's going to be very toxic.
It's going to leave you very empty.
You're going to burn out. And that's where Ryan Trahan was.
Yep.
He did it. He started seeing there's money. And then he got on the hamster wheel of got to do more and more crazy things. Meanwhile, he's feeling hollow and empty, and he knows the audience is also, because it's like junk food, visual junk food that he was creating. And now he hopes people, when they finish a video, at least have something positive, in their life. So.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And I've encountered the two different versions of this. One person I would love to have on the podcast is Isabella. Oh, yeah. She's a younger, newer creator. Mm-hmm. She's about to hit 6,000 subscribers, which is crazy.
Amazing, yeah.
Because
when did you start working with her though? What was she?
Yeah. So she started at zero because she was just in our young adults group.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually her and her husband. It's the pastor's son. She's married to the pastor's son.
Okay.
And then that was their Subaru. So it all comes full circle. So the Subaru I drive used to be theirs.
Okay.
And then they got a new car and they were like, hey, do you want this car? I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we've been going to their church for almost 3 years, like right around 3 years. So, we became friends. We met the first couple weeks we were there. Then we started the young adults group. Later on, they came to our young adults group and were a big part of that at first. And so one of the nights, she's like, hey, I'm thinking about creating content. And so she wanted to start a podcast. So I was there from the very beginning, basically trying to advise her. But it took her about 1.5 years, 2 years to start actually like hearing me, what I was saying. So like she understood what she needed to do or like what she wanted to do, but she really did not want to take a lot of my advice. For example, like we've talked about clickbait before, and I keep on telling her like, hey, you need to put something like interesting, like the thumbnails and titles need to be interesting in order for people to click on them. And she was like, no, it'll just work if I'm just doing this, and she did it for about 1.5 years, maybe 1.75 years, let's say, up until about a month and a half ago. And she finally realized, one, she doesn't want to do a podcast. So that's number one.
That's a big realization.
So that was a big thing for her. It was like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this. This isn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be. And then number two, I can make videos by myself in a cool new way that makes sense. So I'm going to switch my content style, switch my topic style. And then now she's where she's at. So she's grown really from 800 until almost 6,000 in the last month and a half.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so she's done it.
It's all because she changed the format to, well, there's lots of things.
Lots of little things that all compiled into something that worked insanely well for her. And it's a little bit different. I'll use like Matt's channel example. Matt has one really, really, really big video that's kind of running everything. For Isabella, it's different. She has several big videos now. So like several videos that are over 50K. And then she's got a bunch of other videos that are like 10, 20, 30. So like all of them are building on each other. And she's created like a real community of people that are all interested in the exact sort of like premise that her channel is about.
Is she like Gen Z?
Yes, very much like Gen Z Christianity.
And she's speaking to current trends or issues, right?
Somewhat, but it's more like it's almost like Christian oddities, like Christian culture oddities.
Yeah, like she did an FAFO one recently, which is very interesting.
Yeah. So like this is a perfect example of like a weird Christian oddity that not a lot of people are like making content about, but that is very prevalent in the cultural space. Yeah. So like FAFO, like frick around and find out, right?
What do I do with this?
And it's like, as Christians, should we be promoting this? Should we be like, yeah, of course, they're doing evil things, screw them. That's basically the premise. And so she responds to that in a Christian way, gives scriptural references and talks about it, right? Not as a Bible teacher, but as a girlfriend who's like, yo, girl, let's talk about this thing, Anyway, I would love to have her on to talk a lot
really
more
well,
about
by the way.
Thank you, appreciate it. I would love to have her on to talk way more about that. But what was my point in this? We got so sidetracked.
How does it relate to this, like the giving, right?
Yeah, so for her stuff, I'd love to have her on, but for her stuff, she realized in that process of growing her channel that it was less about the ego of her being this Bible teacher, which I think originally is what it was. I think it was the ego of, I'm going to talk to these people and people are going to love that I'm talking to these people. Even though they're not really known people, even though there's not really a lot of interesting stuff, then I think it became more about like the ego of, oh, I'm going to teach them these things through the Bible. And like, I'm going to be the girl to do that sort of thing. I think that there's a piece of that ego there. And then once she let that go and realized like, no, I'm just going to talk to the girlies about what is interesting in the space, it just all clicked for her, and it became something that she's super surprised about. I'm super surprised about. And if she keeps on growing the way that she's growing, she's going to be bigger than my channel by the middle of next year. Yeah. Easily.
Well, it has a larger audience potential.
Huge. For sure. Way bigger total addressable market.
My daughter would definitely follow her. Yeah. It's that kind of thing. It's interesting to see the journey. First of all, she had to start doing something, right? And she was doing it all wrong or whatever,
Yep.
but it wasn't working. But she had to start so she could at least iterate, right? You can't optimize what you don't start.
Exactly.
So she had to do that.
Yep.
And then she also had to die to herself
Yes.
in some ways, like that the ego had to sort of go away. And it then had to be about something more redemptive.
Yeah.
And this was a way to be salt and light and redemptive. So that's a great example.
Yeah, yeah. But we see this a lot. Like for me, I have the option of being the drama guy. I can do that. And there are times when I talk about dramatic things or things that are like, breaking news with Angel Studios or whatever else, right? And there's some dramatic stuff that comes from that. But I have the option of being the drama guy that's like, you should hate The Chosen because this, and this, and you should, pick out this. And there are people like that. And I could easily get more views and money doing that. Easily, but I don't. And so the moral platform for me is I understand that if I make the correct content, I will have an audience that will ride with me through anything.
Yeah.
And if I do have that redemptive framework of like, for example, Angel Studios is a great example. Angel Studios in my world, a lot of people hate Angel Studios. I mean, a lot of people because of some of the things that they've done in the past. But I'm still open in the fact that Angel Studios could be a positive force, right? No matter how much they go through lawsuits or whatever else, or do things that I think are sketchy, it means that I'm probably going to have more boundaries around that company. But it also means that in the future, there's still a chance for them to be redeemed, right? In a sense, as a company, as much as a company can be, right?
Yeah.
So, like, for example, like with this David movie that's coming out, this David animated movie, they lost ownership of it and then they regained ownership of it kind of suddenly, kind of out of nowhere, which was a really big deal in my space, the biblical media space. So now people in the audience have the option, do I hate Angel Studios enough to let this great movie die? Or am I going to support it anyway, even regardless of, this thing? And that I think could be a redemptive story that's being told in my space right now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So
that's really interesting. I love this perspective because there is a lot more that needs to be considered and prayerfully thought through. And like in the case of Angel Studios, I went to a premiere of another series, not a biblical media product, but it's the Miracle series that one of our friends is the musical supervisor and director for the whole project, and we were there to just cheer him on, and we were blown away by the stories that were being told. And so I know that they can be a force for good and for and redemption is absolutely there. But it
is what it is.
It's an interesting.
One project at a time. That's my
keep the boundaries
gospel,
up.
So
well, and then also keeping in mind the person on the other side of the screen. That's who we're making this for.
Yeah.
And you want, as a Christian, you want to have that redemptive. Like after they get done watching or listening to what you have to say, whether it's film or TV or a YouTube channel like what we're doing right now, like hopefully that's a net positive. That they spend some time with us. We added value to their life. We brought them closer to God. We helped them with the thing that they're stuck on their YouTube channel. And being a part of that is life-giving, right? We know that. Like it's better to give than receive, right? And just giving, so taking that posture as a content creator, I think is really key because it is easy to go, oh, I see the money you can make and I'm going to follow the tactics. And there's people out there who've got buy my course and I'm going to make you rich. And it's like,
I guarantee it.
I guarantee it.